Okay, welcome. We're live. It's
Good morning.
Friday. I've got my guest today who's got some great information, Darren Henley from Rock River Inspections. And if you've ever bought or sold a home or are looking to, you're going to want to tune into this episode because we're going to touch on some things that a lot of people are not aware of in terms of what they should look for and how to navigate through the whole inspection process, whether it's brand new, and we've got some hot tips on that. If you're buying a new home and you think you don't need an inspection, you're going to think twice after this episode. Also, how to select an inspector. New builds, we mentioned, repair versus replace. And flip house, we're going to talk about flip houses and the work, how to navigate through that if you're flipping or a flip house. So again, welcome. This is Kat with Tada by Kat, Next Level Staging and Design out of the Houston area. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year. So, Darren, let's just jump right in. This will be about 30 minutes. We keep it at about 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
Let's just jump right in, Darren. Introduce yourself, how long you've been in the business briefly, and then let's just jump right into new construction, because that's something that's kind of close to my heart because, I've been in real estate, design, et cetera, for a long time. I'm not going to date myself here. I've been rotating around the sun a few times. But I was, even with my knowledge and experience, I did not realize, I thought, well, I'm buying a new home. Who needs an inspection? And boy, did I have a big surprise coming in. Yeah. So, Darren, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself briefly, something that maybe I didn't mention, and then let's jump right into new builds.
Okay. My name's Darren Henley. I'm with Rock River Inspections. I am the owner of the company, the sole inspector for the company. I've been in business going on 6 years, and I've come.
What's your background? Before that, Darren, what did you do?
I've been in construction for 33 years. I started out as a trim carpenter, cabinet maker, then went into remodeling, renovations, additions, all that stuff. And then became a building superintendent, did that for 9 years. And then the market kicked me out of that and went back into remodeling and then inspecting. So I've had kind of a stair-step guide through the construction process to get to where I'm at now. And inspecting to me is one of the things as a builder, I used to try and discourage, just like they still do today. But going through it now and having been an inspector, it's more important than I ever realized until I got more involved in it and started doing it. So
absolutely. And let me just say, because I come, as you know, from the builder world, and I came from a builder that had more third-party inspections than any other, a builder out there, which of course we sold as a plus. But the bottom line is you want someone, with their own agenda, and to have an unbiased opinion so that you can make an informed decision when you're purchasing the largest investment that you'll probably purchase in your life. So what would you like to share with us, Darren, about that?
And I referenced it. One of the things that some builders discourage it, or not necessarily discourage it, but they'll tell you, well, when we get the house inspected, you don't need to waste your money doing it. And that's true. They do get the house inspected. They're required by law to have it inspected, so it's a warrantable product. But the difference in what their inspectors do and what I do, as a lot of it is time. I mean, those inspectors have 10 inspections a day. I do 1 or 2. I spend the time in the home. I go through it much more thoroughly. I'm looking at everything visible from the inside and outside. Whereas their inspectors are coming through and looking at certain things that are required to make the home a warrantable product. They're ensuring completeness and warrantability, and that's their primary concern. Whereas when I go through a home, and this is at any stage, I do pre-pour foundation inspections, pre-drywall inspections, final inspections, and warranty inspections.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I don't know that everybody is aware of those services. So let's say someone is building a home from the ground up. You mentioned, pre-pour, pre-drywall, et cetera. Just touch briefly, because I know we have several topics to go through, but if you could touch briefly on the significance of a pre-pour inspection, and then let's talk about the significance of a pre-drywall inspection.
Okay. The pre-pour is done prior to the concrete being placed in the foundation form. What I'm looking at there is the structural integrity of the foundation going to be done per the engineer's design, which is who ultimately is in control of a foundation, is the engineer that designs it. Making sure the plumbing is done properly, protected properly, the reinforcement system of the foundation, whether it be post-tension cables or rebar steel, all that needs to be placed a certain way and properly protected from weathering. And then I check the foundation itself, the forms, make sure that they're level, or as level as possible. And just make sure everything's ready to go. So once that concrete's in place, there's not a lot of opportunity to change things.
Exactly. Something I'm hearing some feedback. What is something I don't want to say common, but the most maybe that you have found or discovered or called out, that could have been irreplaceable or non-fixable in your experience?
One of the most common things that I run across is damaged plumbing during what's called the makeup process, where they go in and they dig the beams and then set the steel and all that in the cables. And usually they're doing that with a trencher, and the trencher is a machine that just cuts through the earth. And sometimes they hit a pipe and don't realize it. And once that pipe is encapsulated in concrete, it's real difficult to fix it. So that's the most common critical thing that I find. And it's pretty rare, but it does occur. And it's something that if it's not caught before that concrete goes in, it's going to be an expensive repair.
Absolutely.
Anything can be repaired, but it wouldn't be easy and it wouldn't be cheap. So
yeah. And we all know foundation issues, are can be, very, very, very costly. Yeah. So let's move on to pre-drywall. What are some critical points, that you've called out and that are important to catch before you put the drywall on?
In the frame stages, what I'm looking at in the pre-drywall, and most common is structural integrity things that are either not done properly or altered during the process of electrical, plumbing, and HVAC being installed. There's a lot of situations where they'll go in and not understanding why that piece of wood is there, they'll cut it to make their job easier. Well, when they do that, they remove the structural integrity of that piece of wood. So things like that I see, that I call out and explain to the buyer when we're doing our summary, going through what I've discovered. I'll explain to them why that's important, what it's there to do. And then electrical and plumbing issues, things that show up that I see that are going to be a problem later or could create a problem later on. It's better to fix it before the drywall's in, and then you have to go cut and patch versus fix it now where it's done right and it's ready to cover. So absolutely. And I built a home from the ground up, but it was back in the 80s. Of course, I had no clue. I used to go there and look at it during the construction, but I had no idea to get an inspector or what I was looking for. But I think you and I talked earlier before we went live. Jeff and I purchased a home. It was a semi-custom home in Waco when we first came here from Southern California.
And I thought, well, it's a brand new home. And, and I was in real estate for a minute in California. I thought, oh, it's a brand new home. I don't need to have an inspector. And we go to sell it, and come to find out, sure, it was a semi-custom home, but come to find out they had about 8 electricians on the job.
Oh, wow.
So one would start and then the other one would leave. And so that, they'd pick up where they left off, and you know where that story goes, right? Yeah. So come to find out, and this, oh my gosh, this made me so like, oh my gosh, like my little toddler nephews, I had them, take a bubble bath in my, master bath, and come to find out there was no ground fault indicator, GFI switch there. And you know what could have happened? Thank God it didn't. But, that's just one thing of kind of many things that they found, because there were so many electricians on the job, not doing the job correctly. So, yeah, the message is, no matter how new it is, always have an inspection on new construction.
And I had one I did about the middle of last year, and come to find out when I did the final inspection, I called it out during the pre-drywall. There was an electrical outlet that was over the master tub, and I called it out as being in the wrong location.
Wow. Just waiting for an electric dryer to fall in.
Well, and then when I got to the final, the plug was still there. So I asked the buyer, I said, all right, this plug is here for a reason. I see that now. What is the reason? Well, it's for a heated towel bar. Okay, I understand that, but this plug cannot be inside the rim of the bathtub. It just can't be done.
Yeah.
So what can we do? I said, I don't know, but it needs to be. And luckily, it wasn't a framed-in tub. It was a freestanding tub. So I said, move it to the other side of the wall or something, but it can't be within that rim. And he didn't realize that. And evidently, the builder didn't know that either.
Wow.
Even though I had called it out on the frame inspection, he still left it there and powered it up. I'm like,
oh, goodness.
That's wrong.
Well, our house, that makes me think on our house, because we just redid the kitchen, the flooring, everything. We've lived with an electrical outlet right behind the kitchen faucet.
Yeah.
That's not right.
It should be on a GFCI circuit.
I know,
so
but
it would be protected.
Why am I going to blend a smoothie over here?
It's not
to curl my hair? I don't know.
Yeah. Typically, the backsplash outlet should be outside of the sink rim. I mean, anything that's within a rim of a plumbing fixture is not.
Plumbing fixture, yeah, kind of common sense.
Yeah.
So get a warranty. Don't care if it's a new home. Get a warranty. I'm sorry, get a warranty. Get an inspection.
Get an inspection. Yes.
Yeah. It's worth it for peace of mind, and it could save you a lot of heartache, danger, and of money, et cetera, down the line. So let's move on, Darren, to the flip. Your topic on Flip House you wanted to share with our audience, and any folks out there. There's a lot more folks out there who are flipping homes. Our realtor partners are getting into that because real estate, is so prolific right now. What did you want to share with our viewers on that topic?
Well, and it basically the quality of workmanship is varied dramatically in flip houses. For the most part, the homes that I visit that have been flipped are typically in good shape. They've done good quality work, but there are some out there that are cost cutting, cut corners, do things cheaply, hire the wrong people, don't hire professionals to do what they need to get done. And to the average person, you're not going to see anything, but the problems will show up eventually, especially when we're talking electrical and plumbing issues, things like that. And inspecting those houses, I look for those things, especially if I know it's a flipped house. I'm gonna really look deep into work that's been done. If I can see it and look at it, I'm gonna do my best to ensure that it's done properly, so those problems don't crop up. Because the average person, they see the cosmetic beauty of a flipped house, but they don't see that 40-year-old house had some issues that just got covered up, or they had issues down the line that weren't properly corrected, and they're just covered up now. They look good, but things are going to be a problem later on, and that's what I'm looking for, is trying to identify those issues and make sure that at least the buyer is aware of it.
Right.
Whether they can do anything about it or choose to do anything is up to them, but
so they can make an informed decision,
right.
And that's what it's all about. If they get it, at a great price, maybe they're okay. So let's move into a subtopic that Jeff had written a little note here, and that is, what is your thoughts on repair versus replace? What are your guidelines on that?
It depends on the object, and the age is the most critical thing, and something that needs to be replaced. Typically, I'm going to look, how old is it? How long has it been in doing its job? Like air conditioning units, water heaters, things like that. They do have expiration dates.
Yeah,
and
lifespan. Yeah.
In our climate, especially air conditioners, typically will last 15 to 20, depending on how hard you work them. The key to air conditioning units is maintenance. Keep the filters clean. Get somebody to look at them. It costs a couple $100 a year to have an HVAC contractor come check your system. But in the long run, that's going to add years of life to it. And you're talking $10,000, $15,000 replacement costs per unit. So if you're in a modern day 2-story home that's got 2 units, do the math on that.
Yeah.
That can get very costly. So just think the age is the most critical thing as far as repair or replace. And that's where a trustworthy contractor, like I've lived in my home for almost 17 years. There's been one person work on my HVAC system in the entire time. He comes every year and does the checkup, checks the coils, checks the ductwork, makes sure everything's sealed up, cleans the coils when necessary. And thank God so far it's still the original system. Survived the Harvey flood, still kicking. Hope I get another 10 years out of it.
So you need to vet them, you need to trust them, but I think the takeaway here is maintenance, like anything else.
Yeah.
When you wreck your car, years ago when I was not much above a teenager, I had no idea you had to change oil, and you can blow a car, which I kind of did, not changing oil. So maintenance, yeah, that was in another life. Yeah, maintenance is critical, absolutely critical. I just wanted to touch briefly on, again, people buying, selling, or realtors, and that is the negotiation process, and chime in for whatever thoughts you have on this. Folks think when they buy or sell a home, you negotiate price and that's it, but there's a lot more things to negotiate, closing terms, closing time, and repairs is a big one too. Are you seeing, and I don't know if you're on that spectrum of it, not being a realtor, but are you seeing more that folks will just kind of throw money at negotiate money as opposed to the headache of going in and repairing stuff?
I think that's more common than not, is to try and get an allowance for the repairs that you're requesting. And my personal opinion, I think that's the better route to go.
And why is that, Darren?
Well, there are some unscrupulous people in this world that do contracting work and that hire contractors. And my opinion on that is get the allowance for the repairs, and then bring in, if you proceed and buy that home, bring your people in, people that you've worked with in the past, people that are going to be accountable to you. Because once that seller sells that home, the contractor's accountability theoretically is done.
Is done. Yeah.
Whereas if you bring them in,
I'm saying
then they're
that
accountable to you.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I think, I do a few transactions a year, referrals basically. And I think I want to say almost 100% of them, that's what I've seen, where years ago, it was, they contracted out, you had to get receipts. And again, you don't know, is it handmade receipts and Uncle Bob did it,
right?
Who's not licensed or trained or whatever. So I think that is really good advice. Yeah. So that accountability to just come to an agreeable, and not only that, it helps to streamline the process, instead of having to, have someone schedule work and come out there, et cetera. It streamlines the whole transaction process, if you will. So let's move on to termite inspection, and why you think it is or is not worth the extra investment. Because some people may say, "Oh, it's a newer home," or maybe that would be an exception. I'm going to let you talk to that, but talk to us why you think termite inspection is an important add-on to your inspection services.
Well, in full disclosure, I am a certified applicator licensed to do termite inspections.
Okay. So yeah, and I think
that I'm trying to sell that,
but many inspectors are, right, because it is so.
Yeah. A lot of them are, but surprisingly, a lot of them aren't, and
they'll sub it out.
They sub it out to a pest control company, which that's fine. Most pest control companies are willing to do it. The difference is when I include it in my inspection, I'm going to do it at a much lower rate than a pest control company coming in as a third party to the inspector. Okay. So
because you can bundle it.
I bundle it, yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I think it's important to do on every home, even newer homes. Now, a brand new home, they're not likely have had time to invade. But as far as the subterranean termites exist, they're in the ground in our climate, in our region of the country. They are here. They're everywhere. Okay. There's no area of the metropolitan Houston area that doesn't have termites in the ground.
Okay.
The key to them not invading your home is not giving them a reason to. They need certain things to thrive and survive on. And that's what an inspection does. It searches for evidence of them, and it searches for situations we call conducive conditions to attract termites. And
what are those? What are some of those?
High soil conditions, rotten wood, vegetation that's growing on the house or up against the home, things that would conceal the activity of termites. And that's what you want to avoid. You want to be able to see if they show up. They move slow, but given enough time, they will destroy a house.
Wow.
And I've seen that in remodeling work. One of the things I saw one time, it was a courtyard home built in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And the back wall of the shower was an exterior wall. And back then they used to do the sunken floor in the shower, and they'd use a lead pan as a moisture barrier for the shower floor, which was great if it was done properly, but lead exposed concrete deteriorates to the point where it disappears. So we were remodeling this bathroom and we were totally redoing the shower. So I started demolition. Thankfully, the shower was tiled from head to toe. I started demolition on the outside of the walls of the shower, which were drywall. When I tore the drywall off, the bottom 18 inches of the studs were totally gone. Wow. All 3 walls of that shower were gone.
Oh, wow.
The only thing holding that ceiling up above that shower was the tile.
So let me ask you, Darren, is that at that state or that condition, is it repairable? I mean, can you tent the house?
Yeah, I mean, it was repairable. We managed to get that done. course, at the time, the activity was not there. That termite damage was very old. But avoiding that would have saved a lot of money because we ended up having to totally reframe that part of the bathroom.
Wow.
Which included exterior wall reframing.
So did you have to tent the house too? When do
No, we didn't have to have it treated. There was no activity there at the time, but it was just the structural damage was immense.
So are you telling me that these little critters will come and do severe damage and then they'll go find another home?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yep. They'll swarm when they run out of food source or sustainability in that home. They'll find another one. They'll send out scouts and find another place to live. So, but old termite damage is usually impeding the structural integrity of the home. So that's one of the things I look at as an inspector and look for previous damage. So it's a lot of people say, "Oh, that's an extra $90 to $150 that I don't want to spend." Well, it depends on how much you want to save in the future. If the termites are there at the time I do the inspection before purchase, that gives you the opportunity to either not purchase at home, or the seller is going to need to have the home treated, which comes with a warranty that you'll get to take over, but that's a cost you don't want to incur later on after closing.
Exactly. So as a buyer, it's, I would think, well worth the extra $90 for that peace of mind. And again, it gives you and your agent, your realtor, negotiating some negotiating leverage, and it is back to, you want to make an informed decision. If you've got active termites, you need to know that. If you've got damage like what you found, you need to know that. Again, you're talking about the possibility of the structural integrity being compromised. So those are things that you need to know. Absolutely.
And as an inspector, I mean, there's certain signs of termite damage. I'm not going to cut into the wall and see the extent of the damage, but there's certain things that are indicators that there's damage behind that wall. And if that's something that I see, then that's something that will be included in the report, called out. And then what you do with that information as a buyer is up to you. But it's just, and that's where a lot of people are misguided. And like you said, introducing this topic, well, it's not that old of a home. Well, I've seen them in 2-year-old houses. If there's something there to attract them.
It doesn't matter the age. There's no discrimination on age. So I want to touch, I was thinking about this earlier. I want to touch on, said behind the walls. So you're going to make a visual inspection. Let's talk about moisture. When I was with a builder, I'm not going to mention names, many people know who I work for here in Houston, but they strapped it on their chest, and it was a moisture detector. And not only a moisture detector, but it could detect, like, if drywall, if insulation had fallen down and not been nailed up. But and this might be two different detectors. But do you use something like that can detect? And I know your home flooded yourself. That can detect moisture behind a wall for a buyer.
Yeah, I actually have a thermal imaging camera.
Thermal imaging, yes. The
tool that I use for that. And yes, it will detect moisture behind the wall. It will detect insulation that's missing, or in some older homes where they didn't attach it to the framework like we do now, it might have fallen down. But yeah, I have that ability. It's a good extra feature to add. And if it's something that concerns you, or if you've had an experience in the past of having an issue that popped up. And I do utilize it if during the course of an inspection I see something that would indicate there's a leak or suspect a leak, then I get that camera out and I'll investigate it further.
Okay.
But it is something, a thermal imaging look at the house is something that I will do as an addition to any inspection.
Okay.
It's a good tool.
It's a tool you've got up in your arsenal.
Yep.
Then
I also utilize a moisture meter. So if I do find evidence of a leak, then I can put that tool to work and tell you how wet it is. I mean,
oh wow,
there are different degrees of moisture activity. Anything above normal humidity level is not good, but it can go up to 100% saturation, which is very, very destructive.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that attract termites too, is moisture.
So thank you for that information. Such great information. So now I'm going to play on the other side, kind of devil's advocate. Having been, on the realtor side for transactions, oftentimes we see, not you, Darren, because we personally have used you in purchases for our personal properties and family properties, but there are, and I'm not going to blame the inspector so much as really just it's making an awareness to, let's say, the realtors. Let's say they're newer. There's many new realtors out there, and they will see a report, and especially if you're a novice and you're just thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much wrong with this house, that the homeowner gets alarmed. Maybe some inspectors, again, not you, are overzealous in calling every single thing, little teeny knick-knack out.
They do exist.
Right? So talk to that. I know you don't, but talk to us about that, because I'll tell you, that's when you need a good realtor who's like, okay, really, this is not really critical. It's minor stuff. Let's pick and choose where the issues are. And where I see as a professional is if it's safety, a hazard, and possibly a code, I guess, out of code. So you want to look at those three things, and the majority of the things are going to be really just knick-knack things. And again, not Darren, but other inspectors sometimes will just be overzealous in trying to do their job, and call out just every little knick-knack thing, and it's overwhelming. So speak to that if you could, Darren.
And that does occur. I mean, that was one of the motivating points of me being an inspector, is having worked in the construction industry for so many years, seeing reports like that. And one of the last reports I worked as a contractor for a client was 140 something page report.
Wow.
Bless the guy's heart, he did a great job. It was a very in-depth, detailed report.
Right.
But it took forever to read through it to find the 20 things that needed to be fixed. And summarization is a good tool. And I learned that early on. And having the background that I do in the construction, summarization made my job as a contractor much easier. Yes. And you'll find in my reports, there's a general summary, which the general summary is the deficiencies that are listed throughout the report. It brings them all onto one section of the report. It just makes it that much easier to work through it and discover it. And it makes it faster for everybody involved at that process.
It does. I think it takes out that question, that alarm, like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't buy this house. I can totally relate to that, because when I started my staging business on my own, going on 6.5 years ago, I would do, after an occupied consultation, I would do like a 15-page report with pictures and descriptions, and it took me a long time to do that. And it really was just a recapitulation of a walk and talk. Nothing was a surprise. Maybe sometimes I'd go back to the office and have my picture file that I'd taken and call out something that we didn't talk about, like, I need to tell her to move that buffet to the left. But we do what's called, and again, from the builder world, we do a punch list. So I tell my clients, within 48 hours, I'll give you a report. There'll be no surprises. Really, it's just a action item, reminder list for you. And it's a 1-page punch list to remind them what they need to do and what we talked about in the walk and talk. And nobody's ever complained, well, I want 30 pages with pictures.
Yeah.
They know what their house looks like. They don't need
Yeah.
30 pages. And I really had to charge more for my time to create such a report. So yeah, the summary, I love that aspect of it. I know you did it with us. And
well, and going back and touching on something you said, people's schedules are sometimes too tight where they can't come to an inspection.
right.
And I encourage anybody that hires me, come see what I see. Let's talk about what I find.
Right.
You don't have to be there the entire time. It's not a real exciting thing to watch me work, but I always
Especially in the attic, right?
Yeah. I always encourage, come near the end of the inspection if you can't be there for the whole thing, and let me talk to you about what I discovered. And that takes that fear factor out. That takes that, oh my God, what is in this report?
Yes.
The air conditioner's not working right. Is it going to die? I don't know for sure, but bring somebody out and let them check it.
Right.
And that takes that fear of just seeing it on paper and, well, oh my God, the air conditioner's about to die. I won't tell you that. I don't know.
Right.
It could last another 10 years or it could die tomorrow. I don't know that when I'm there.
Yeah.
But if there's an indication that it's not functioning properly, I'm going to tell you that and tell you what that problem is based on what I see. And I'm going to recommend have somebody come look at it.
Right.
But the fear factor, and that's where a lot of inspection reports hurt clients, is it puts fear in them that doesn't need to be there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's wrap this up, Darren, and such good information. I want to wrap this up with you giving us some advice on how. Of course, we want everybody to call you. We're going to post Darren's information on our YouTube channel, but I'm going to call out, the best number to reach him here in a minute. But tell our audience, how would you recommend going about selecting the right inspector?
My recommendation on that is research the inspector himself. One of the places you can look is TREC's website, Texas Real Estate Commission. They list every inspector that they've licensed is on their website. You can search by name, license number, company name. But do your research. Google search. Google is a good tool. One of the things that's the hardest thing as an inspector competing against hundreds of others in the area is pricing. Everybody's pricing. Price is not always the best indicator of a good inspection.
In any business.
And that goes with any business, but especially inspections.
All inspectors are not created equal. I use this in staging. All staging companies and professionals are not created equal.
No.
So give me a couple of points that sets you apart. Why Rock River Inspections and Darren? Why would I select you?
One of the best things I can offer is 33 plus years of experience in construction.
Okay.
Having torn houses apart and rebuilt them, having built them from the ground up, having renovated, added on, demolished, worked on flood houses. I bring a lot of experience. I don't know everything, but I know a lot.
That's invaluable. Experience is invaluable. Absolutely. And
then just one of my character traits or flaws, however you want to look at it, is I am a perfectionist by nature. So
I can relate to that.
and I don't get in a hurry. I'm a turtle when it comes to doing my job.
You take your time.
So
each inspection you treat, it sounds like how we treat each home is unique. Each inspection is unique. You're not going to rush through it and do a cookie cutter inspection. And I really like that about you. So folks out there, if you're looking to buy a home, to sell a home, or if you've just been in your home for a while, I know Jeff and I did that with another inspector partner we had quite a few years ago. And after I gave him so many referrals or so forth, he did a inspection for us. And if you've been in your home for a while, and pre-inspection is also, we're not going to go into depth on that, but a pre-inspection, pre-listing inspection, I'm sorry, a pre-listing inspection. Talk to your realtor about that. That can really give your potential buyers a peace of mind up front to say, wow, these sellers have already done a pre-inspection and we already know. So what you're doing, making it easy for those buyers to make that big decision. They can see it's already been inspected. Oftentimes they'll share the report. I think most of the time they'll share the report and you already know there's no foundation issues, the electrical slide, no HVAC issues. Wow. I've already got a warm and fuzzy feeling, and now I'm going to fall in love with it because it's staged by Tada and looks gorgeous, and it's priceless.
There you go.
So pre-listing inspection, great thing to have. What is the best number to reach you if someone doesn't want to wait till this is on YouTube and they want to contact you right away? What's the best number to reach you? 832-397-0725.
And
Jeff, if you could post that on the notes here so folks scrolling could have that number. And what are the areas, Darren, that you cover? I know you recently did a relative in New Braunfels, but I don't know if that's your basic area.
My license is statewide.
Oh, okay.
But typically anywhere in the Houston metropolitan area, I tell my realtor companions, wherever you go, I'll go.
There you go.
You go to Livingston and sell a house, I'll go to Livingston and inspect it for your client.
There you go. We've staged in Livingston. I think the farthest we had last year was we went to Dallas for a realtor partner. And so, you got to follow where the need is. And I so appreciate you being on the show, Darren. And folks out there, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we have our own unique URL. Which is, it's YouTube. No, I'm not even going to say it. Anyway, I don't have it memorized yet. Jeff, can you post it? But if you just search Tada, TADA, BYKAT, it'll pop up. Subscribe to our channel, hit the bell. All of our past episodes are loaded up there. And Darren his information with more detailed information will be loaded up there within 48 hours by my lovely husband and business partner, Jeffrey Wong. So check it out. Every Friday, 10 a.m., we have a new guest. If you or someone you know is passionate about something that they do, and it involves buying, selling, decorating, designing, living or dwelling, apartment or house, have them reach out to me. We would love to get them on the calendar and be our guest this year. We've got several guests lined up already, so we're super excited. There, I see your phone number. And again, Happy New Year to you all. And our message as usual for 2021 is to stay positive. There's a lot going on right now. It doesn't stop us from being positive. Stay positive. Stay hopeful. I know I am. And stay connected. Connect with us every Friday. And until next week, namaste. Have a beautiful day. Again, thank you so much, Darren. And
thank you, Kat, for having me. I enjoyed it.
Oh, you were awesome. Thank you for all the great information.
My pleasure.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.